Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan John joining you for this edition of Nate at 8. And of course, the big story across the Ohio Valley as we get ready to ring in the new year, snow. And we're dealing with quite a bit of it as we ring in the new year and even shortly after that before we see that snow taper off into New Year's Day. So obviously, we're going to be breaking down the potential we have for snow amounts, what timing to watch for that potential for the heaviest snow, and of course, the impacts when it comes to road conditions across the Ohio Valley. What to watch as we go into New Year's Day. Thankfully, once we get past tonight, it is much more quiet for New Year's Day going through the weekend as mainly dry conditions will likely return. So looking at radar right now, we're dealing with that snow encompassing much of the area. We're still awaiting some of the heaviest snow that we're going to be dealing with as we extend a little further into the night. And unfortunately, the heaviest snow is likely close in line with the time we're ringing in the new year. I want to point out what we did see into portions, not here, but looking up near Erie as well as near Buffalo. We saw some of this snow heavy enough that we actually saw, accompanied with it, you could see it right on the screen there, thunder snow. Yes. How about that? Some lightning and thunder registered there. Some of those heavy bands coming off of Lake Erie into Erie and Buffalo, getting some of the thunder snow even for this evening. Reports of visibility down to a quarter of a mile, wind gusts around 31 miles per hour. So dealing with some hazardous conditions likely where we saw that heavier band into Erie and Buffalo. Not to say we're going to get thunder snow into our area, but we certainly have that potential to see, again, that same band of heavier snow make its way into our area as we extend further into the night. Before we jump into all of that, let's get a look at current conditions across the area. And we're seeing a lot of these snow-covered roads across the area. Roads are slick across a good portion of the area right now. That was the case even earlier this evening as well, especially for locations north of I-70. There's a look at Weirton Collier's Way near Weirton Medical Center, and we can make out maybe some pavement there, but also spotting some snow on Collier's Way as well. And that's going to be the theme, especially on a lot of these side roads. You're going to be just dealing with some snow-covered roads likely as we go throughout much of the night. And dealing with some snow cover there, State Route 722, 213 intersection in Steubenville. Obviously, still some pavement to be seen. There's some tire tracks at least, but some snow on the road as well. Of course, we're going to be starting to look at a lot of what we're looking at is the best road conditions we're going to see here in the area. Obviously, we're scanning on interstate, state routes, some of the best conditions that are going to be seen across the area is what we're currently looking at. Tuscarawas, this is I-77, State Route 39 to 50. Looking there on the interstate, still some pavement to be seen. Also spotting a little bit of snow there on I-77 as well in Tuscarawas County near New Philadelphia. Right now into Cambridge, this is I-70, I-77 area where we're looking at into Guernsey County. Similar story there. You can see a lot of pavement there. A lot of that does look wet. You can see the reflection. Looking at that's I-70 that we're spotting that right now. That semi also then looking at that car and the reflection in the light there. That's I-70. So looking at still the interstates there along that I-70 corridor. I-70 Mall Road is just iced over. We can't even get a glimpse of the road conditions there. Getting a glimpse there. Some snow, also plenty of pavement there, but some snow starting to stick. There's I-70, I-470 that we're looking at right now along that I-70 corridor into Belmont County. New Martinsville, courtesy of Wayside Furniture. It looks to be a similar story that we're still seeing at least a lot of these more main routes that we're still spotting some pavement, especially locations along south of I-70. But overall, these roads are getting slick. And again, keep in mind the heaviest has not arrived yet. So while a lot of these main roads still have tire tracks, there's still pavement to be seen on these main roads, the best road conditions in the area, that even as we go throughout the night, as the snow picks up, a lot of these main roads could become snow covered as well. So then the question, of course, is when can we see it, right? When is that heavy band of snow moving through? When can even our state routes, interstates across the area become snow covered? And again, I'm sure there's some state routes that are snow covered right now, but you get the idea. When can we start to see even more, hazardous road conditions across the area, even on our main roads? Well, the timing of this to watch is likely going to be pretty close in line with the midnight mark. So here's a look at Futurecast. So what we're keeping an eye on, and you can see this in the Futurecast right now, that would be this band here of the darker blue. So this is where Futurecast is illustrating that we get that that intense, quick burst of snow, which is whiteout conditions, that quick burst of snow, which can even cover main roads as it passes. So this is the line that we're going to be keeping an eye on. So there's a look at 10 o'clock. Still likely, it's close to us, but it's still likely just out of our area. But we're going to watch then as we get closer towards 11 o'clock for locations in Tuscarawas, Carroll, and Columbiana County, as that heavier band will likely be moving into the area. And then we'll watch closer towards midnight along Route 22 as we get closer towards 1 o'clock along that I-70 corridor. And then for areas south of I-70, closer about 2 o'clock in the morning. So anywhere from around 11 up to about 2 o'clock in the morning. You could even extend it between about 11 to 3. I think it's possible that even delayed a little bit longer than that in that time frame, which again is pretty close in line. If you say around midnight, it's pretty close in line with that. It's going to be from north to south, the progression of this as we go throughout the course of around midnight. And again, this is likely our time period where we can get that intense band there of some heavy snow tracking across the area that can deliver as it passes some hazardous travel conditions, whiteout conditions, with very low visibility, and also then dealing with that quick coating, even on interstates as this passes likely. So this is the time period to watch. And again, it's unfortunately right in time with the time we're ringing in the new year. So we have to watch. If you're out right now, ringing the new year for some location, as you are, if you're traveling there here in a little bit, you need to watch out. If you're, heading out shortly after we ring in the new year, and I would say even a few to several hours after we ring in the new year, the potential is still there for some pretty hazardous road conditions as crews, are playing catch up at that point, right? In the wake of some of this heavier snow. So just keep in mind, if you're heading out, if you're already out, you just need to, allow yourself a lot of time, take it slow, be careful, as these roads are going to turn, already pretty slick across the area, but they're likely getting even worse as the night progresses before we'll see the improvement for tomorrow morning. So the snow then tapers off, I would say anywhere between about 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning. It may be a little too fast a progression of what we're seeing here on Futurecast, but we'll notice late tonight, early tomorrow morning that the snow tapers off. We're going to be left then with just some flurries as we go throughout the day tomorrow, but likely nothing in terms of additional snow accumulation for New Year's Day. The bulk of this is going to be overnight that we're going to be dealing with this. So again, the snow tapers off late tonight across the area. Now this is a north to south, likely north to south. So it'll be, a little bit after that midnight mark that we'll see the snow start to taper off for areas further north of I-70. We're talking in our area, Tuscarawas, Carroll, Columbiana County. And then it can be more early tomorrow morning for locations towards Tyler, Wetzel County, further south in the area that will notice that snow taper off. That heaviest that we discussed is likely occurring closer to and around midnight. So start to watch here over the next few hours as we can start to see that snow pick up in intensity, and that can carry over into periods there shortly after midnight. Again, the theme likely north to south. So a little bit past that midnight mark for areas south of I-70. It could be right around midnight and a little before midnight for areas north of I-70. Widespread snowfall totals. I think most of us is going to be right between 1 to 4 inches of snow. Could we sneak in a little bit more than that? It's possible, but I think we're going to struggle to see anything more than 6 inches, even on some higher elevations, even despite dealing with that band of heavier snow. What it sticks this apart, or it separates this from what we had for a couple nights ago when we dealt with 8, 9, 10 plus inches of snow with that narrow band of heavy snow, is that it was much more persistent. That heavy snow was very much of a training effect over the same location, and it was that persistent heavy snow, the band of heavy snow over the same location, that brought those very high snowfall amounts to a portion of the area. We do not likely see that set up tonight. Yes, we have some heavy bands likely returning, potential there for some what we call snow squalls, that whiteout condition, that quick burst of snow, the rapid deterioration of road conditions. We have that potential, but it looks more progressive. So it doesn't look to just linger or sit over the same locations that brought those very high snowfall amounts to portions of the area earlier this week. We don't look to repeat that. So that being said, we're going to struggle to see anything repeating of what we had that earlier this week. But yes, we could still see some locations reach over 4 inches, but I think it's going to be more isolated to where we see that occur. A lot of us likely falling between 1 to 4 inches of snow. So in terms of the road conditions, conditions. Right now, they're slick. They're going to remain slick here as we go throughout the course of tonight. We're likely going to have to wait until through the course of tomorrow morning before conditions are really improving. Still watch for some slick spots even as we go throughout the daytime tomorrow, but we'll notice likely further improvement in road conditions across the area throughout the morning hours tomorrow. And yes, I still anticipate some improvement even early tomorrow morning with respect to what we will be dealing with around midnight. The most hazardous road conditions will likely be setting up at that point right around that midnight mark. Once we get past 10 o'clock and then all the way until we get even past 2 a.m. is likely more hazardous road conditions across the area. Again, roads are already slick across the vast majority of our area. They're already slippery. They're just going to be turning, I think, even worse, those conditions with the, in correlate with the heavier snow. So once we start to see that heavier snow in the mix here over the next several hours, that's when we'll start to notice even worse likely road conditions across the area. Then some improvements throughout the night, but even by early tomorrow morning, I think these roads are still in general slick, and we're going to have to wait more so throughout the course of tomorrow before we see further improvements, especially on these side roads. By 6 a.m. tomorrow, yes, some of these main roads can see a big improvement, but it's going to take some time, especially with temperatures will likely be falling into the teens going into tomorrow morning. So it's not a situation when temperatures are this cold that it can take time to see a drastic improvement in road conditions. And again, of course, the exceptions there, we know that a lot of our main roads, right, could be a lot better by that point, but it can take some time. But as we go throughout tomorrow morning, especially late morning, we can notice even some of these more side roads become a lot better with those conditions as we go throughout the morning. And still watch, I think, for some slick spots. It's possible throughout the day tomorrow. Can't be ruled out. So a lot of these more back roads could still be slick, at least in some spots, but certainly much better road conditions by the latter part of tomorrow morning with respect to what we're dealing with as we go throughout tonight. And again, thankfully, once we get past tonight, dealing with 3 rounds of snow in a row going into New Year's Day, thankfully, things are much more quiet. I still think we could see some flurries, a couple snow showers tomorrow and tomorrow night. But again, minimal when it comes to additional accumulation. Nothing there that looks impactful. But yes, we could still see some flurries around, maybe a couple snow showers in the mix into Thursday night. By Friday, then we'll cut that risk off completely. We'll even start to spot more sunshine breaking out. We could spot some tomorrow for New Year's Day. We could spot even more Friday. If we can muster that sun, that really helps improve those road conditions. So we'll see at least a little bit of sunshine that will help really clear up some of those road conditions as well for tomorrow. Spot even more sunshine Friday. That in combination with highs back closer to freezing. Any slick spots will likely be completely gone as we go throughout Friday. By Saturday into Sunday, still looking quiet, more cloud cover around for the weekend after spotting a little more sunshine latter part of Friday. Then our falling around of some snow showers looks to arrive on Monday. Temperatures still cold at early next week, but a warm up does look upon us. We'll be back 40s, and I think we could even get in the 50s going into that following weekend. And our precipitation type looks to begin to change around that point where we could deal with more rain than snow by the middle to latter part of next week. So this is our last burst of snow here. We'll see what Monday's has in store for us. It doesn't look like anything major right now, but we'll keep an eye on possibility maybe for some light snow accumulations into Monday. We'll fine tune those details as we get closer to it going throughout the course of this weekend. But for a lot of the 9+1 day forecasts, once we get past tonight, there's not too much snow there, especially impactful snow. And if anything, more rain than snow for a lot of this 9+1 day forecast, as it could become pretty unsettled pattern, but it looks more in the rain by the middle to latter part of next week. So let's get to comments. Thank you all for tuning in on this New Year's Eve. Thank you so much for tuning in with me on this New Year's Eve. Good evening and happy New Year's Eve. Yes, you as well, Austin, and everyone tuning in. Very happy to report that it's snowing here. Almost slipped and fell 4 different times. Oh my gosh, be careful. Oh, I'm glad to hear that you're safe. Thankfully, I caught myself from that happening. Good. Yeah, it's becoming quite slick out there across the area. Carol says, thank you, Carol. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Good evening, Renee. Thanks for the update. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Be safe, everyone. Couldn't agree more, Patty. If you're out right now or plan to head out, stay safe, right? Take it slow, allow yourself plenty of time to get to and from wherever you're heading to ring in the new year. Becky says, thank you for keeping us updated. You're so very welcome. Becky, Carol, everyone, you're so welcome. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in with me on this New Year's Eve. Happy New Year, and thank you, News 9. We appreciate all of you. Thank you, Patty. I appreciate you. That's very kind. Thank you. Marlena, you're so welcome. Thank you for tuning in, as well as Maria. Thank you for tuning in. You are very welcome. Thank you all again, and happy New Year's Eve. It's almost the new year upon us, and a new year to remember. Certainly, with this snow in place, a new year to remember. No white Christmas, but certainly a white New Year is upon us, going into tomorrow. That's for sure. With this. When I saw Monday's forecast this morning, it didn't say snow showers, and yeah, I think we will sneak some in though. There, Renee, I think we will sneak in some snow showers. Again, it doesn't look like anything major though, but maybe some light snow accumulations. I don't foresee a major winter storm coming our way into next week. And again, if anything, it looks to be a lot more rain than snow once we get past that middle to latter part of next week. It could be more unsettled. We can get more precipitation chances middle to latter part of next week, but a lot of that does look more rain than snow at that point. Happy New Year, Linda. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Sue. And Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in. Patty says, I love my News 9 crew. Thank you, Patty. That's very nice. Asa says, hope that we get more snow for January or February. Oh, I'm sure we're starting off with some here for the beginning of January, and I'm sure we'll have plenty more coming our way. It does look like we discussed during our winter forecast that into these winters, when we're dealing with a weak La Nina, and in fact, even drifting towards what we call La Nada, or very neutral conditions, that these type of winters, we can see more of an early spring. So we'll see. We can still get more cold into January. Of course, warmer, we have to keep in mind what's normal for us, right? Not to say we're stringing together 50s and 60s in February, but certainly we can, trend above normal as we go into February, and we've seen a lot here as of recent over the past winters that the winter just lingers into spring. But we could hear this time around going into this coming spring, maybe we can sneak in that early spring. So still get some cold to January, start to moderate temperatures a bit more. February could come out above normal overall for February, and then ultimately see less of that winter lingering into April than we typically do here. We've had some cold days recent lingering further into late winter, even into early spring. So we'll see if it comes to fruition, but I think that potential certainly there for us, that we could get more of that early spring this time around looking ahead. So we'll see. January, yes, maybe we will not see too much snow. February, Austin, maybe we'll start to see more moderate temperatures and less snow by the time February rolls around. But January, certainly. And again, we're already kicking off the month with some snow, and New Year's Eve to remember with the snow here into the Ohio Valley. And again, it's unfortunate timing that the heaviest snow is right around the time you ring in the new year. So be very careful heading out. And I would keep an eye on that radar. Download the Severe Weather Team 9 mobile app and keep an eye on that radar, right? What you're going to be watching for is that darker blue is what to watch for. So just like what we saw in the Futurecast, I'll pull it back up. When you look at your radar, what you're going to be wanting to watch for is what we'll likely see set up is that line there of that darker blue. So watch and track this going throughout the night. If you download Severe Weather Team 9 mobile app and look at the radar before you head out, don't get caught in this, right? Don't get caught in this. If you can get out ahead of it, that's good. If you can get home before this hits, that's the best. But if this is over you, don't drive in it, right? During the time this is falling, that it's obviously going to be bad to drive in the wake of it, but it's worse to drive in it because then you have no visibility either. On top of dealing with the snow-covered roads, you have no visibility or very low visibility within that band of heavier snow. So download the Severe Weather T9 mobile app, keep it on the radar, watch for that darker blue line that we can see develop here later tonight. See where it is in regards to you. You can turn on the location in the app. It'll show you where you're at in relation to that heavier snow. And if it's over you when you're checking, right, don't try to drive in that heavier snow. Let it pass, even though, yes, it's going to be bad in the wake of it, but at least you'll have some visibility and you'll be able to actually see as you're driving, as you don't want to get caught out in this. And of course, if you're just ahead of it, if it's going to be hitting you as you're trying to get back home, don't push it either, right? As this is going to be this can, be some hazardous travel conditions, certainly as it's passing right in the wake of it. Yes, too, but at least you'll have visibility in the wake of it. Is the low visibility and hazardous road conditions is not a good combination, right? Not a good combination. And that's just unfortunate timing because it's going to be rolling around right around that midnight mark. So a little before that for locations further north of Route 22, leading up to midnight locations north of I-70, and then likely a little past that for areas south of I-70. So anywhere from closer to, like we said, closer towards there's 11 o'clock, midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So if you even advance this closer to even 3 o'clock in the morning to include locations there further south in Tyler, Wetzel County, there's 3 o'clock at passing out of our area. So just start to watch even a little before midnight for areas, especially north of Route 22. And then by midnight for areas north of I-70 around Route 22 and just north of I-70. And then closer to 1, 2 o'clock areas along south of I-70. Just watch for this. And again, if you download Severe Weather 9 Team 9 mobile app, keep an eye on the radar. And also it's handy because now the National Weather Service office, they do issue snow squall warnings. We had some of those issued earlier this week. They do issue those now. So keep an eye out for that. They may issue it depending on how intense the snow is moving in later tonight. They may issue some snow squall warnings. And of course, if you have the app installed, it's going to alert you that one was issued for your location. So another handy tool to have when dealing with some of this heavier snow is in the event that it's heavy enough to prompt a snow squall warning, you'll get that warning on your phone. And then, of course, if you have a warning for your location, don't try to drive in it, right? As not only dealing with hazardous road conditions, you're also going to be dealing with very low visibility. It's going to be hard to see. And yes, in the wake of it, obviously roads are still going to be hazardous in the wake of this, but at least you'll be able to see. At least you'll have the visibility. And unfortunately, this is the case tonight where it's going to take some time, right? Roads are still likely slick into tomorrow morning, but we'll see some improvement likely at least once we get past a lot of the snow. Once we get past, about 3 o'clock in the morning, we'll start to likely see some improvements across the area, and then further improvements throughout the morning hours tomorrow. And especially if we can muster some sunshine, it's going to be much better if we can muster some sunshine by tomorrow afternoon. Barbara says, how many inches are we getting? I think most of us is going to be right between 1 to 4 inches within that range. We could see some measurements exceeding 4 inches, but I think it's going to be more localized or isolated as possibly some higher elevations, maybe some areas more scattered throughout the region. But I think a lot of us are going to be under 4 inches of snow, more on the order of there between 1 and 4 with some more localized amounts. 4, I think at most I would see is 6 inches of snow. I think some of those higher amounts may be between 4 and 6, but I don't foresee a repeat of 8, 9, 10, 11 inches of snow that we had in a portion of the area earlier this week, as the band of heavy snow that we can see does not look to linger over the same area. And that's what we saw. That band of heavier snow is much like training of the heavier rain into our summer months. Think of it the same effect that we had earlier this week, where we had that band of heavier snow really just lingering over the same location. And that's what yielded that the very high snowfall amounts for just really a sliver of the area. If you consider, the area that we talk about and cover from Columbiana County down to Tyler County, the area that had that heavier snow is a very small strip compared to all of the coverage area from Columbiana County down to Tyler County. It was just a portion of the region, but certainly highly impactful where that did occur. A very narrow but highly impactful band of heavier snow. But again, it was persistent. What we're dealing with tonight is likely more progressive. It doesn't look to just linger over the same area as we go throughout the course of the night. So it's more of a quick, intense burst of snow instead of that prolonged heavy snow. It looks to be more quick but intense as it passes. Barbara, you are so welcome. Thank you. Thank you all again for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. You can catch me coming up. So we have News 9 at 10 on Fox 9. Also, we'll be at live at 10 o'clock on NBC as well. So I believe we're live on NBC as well as Fox. So WTOV 9 as well as Fox 9 at 10, from 10 to 10:30 on NBC on WTOV 9, and then we'll be still live from 10:30 to 11 on Fox 9. So you can catch me coming up 10 to 11, again, the first half hour on WTOV 9 or NBC as well, and then the remainder of the hour on Fox 9, and then we will not have 11 o'clock newscast for this evening for New Year's Eve, but you can catch up with me as we go throughout that hour mark from 10 to 11. And again, the first hour on NBC as well as Fox, and then the remainder of it on Fox 9. And of course, as always, you can catch me right here. Coming up, Nathan Shutt News 9 and Shutt WTOV if you have X, or if you're on Facebook. I'll post updates there as well as we go throughout the course of the evening and what we're seeing with conditions across the region. And for the next edition of Nate at 8, which is coming up, we'll be off here for the remainder of this week. So I will catch all of you coming up on Monday. So Monday will be our next edition of Nate at 8, as we're going to be quite possibly discussing some more snow showers. So stay tuned for the latest on that coming up on Monday. But thankfully, again, it turns much more quiet past tonight, mainly dry as we go through the weekend. Yes, some flurries, some couple lingering snow showers. I think it's possible Thursday night, but any additional accumulation looks minimal. Likely nothing impactful. So once we get past tonight, the winter impacts likely finally relax as we go through the weekend, and then we'll see Monday. Doesn't look like a major system Monday. Maybe sneaking in some light accumulation, but nothing major. But we'll certainly keep you updated on that throughout the weekend. And for the latest on that, make sure to stay tuned with Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Emma Keegan, as well as Brian Ivy. Meteorologist Brian Ivy will be in as well, keeping you guys updated over the next couple of days. And of course, Emma coming up for this weekend. So make sure to stay tuned with those two here over the next several days on what to watch for as we go into your Monday. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful and safe celebration coming up here as we look forward to ringing in the new year. And the countdown is really on. How about that? 8:56, almost 9 o'clock. We're almost 3 hours away as we count down into the new year, 2026. How long is it going to take for us to write 2026 instead of 2025? Maybe at least a couple days, maybe a couple weeks. It's always an adjustment period, right? So I apologize in advance if I'm still putting 2025 on any graphics. I'll try to catch myself, but it's an always adjustment period, isn't it? All right, everyone. Thank you again so much as always. Have a wonderful, safe New Year's Eve, right? We ring in the new year. Be safe. Download the Severe Weather Team 9 mobile app. Watch for that heavy snow band moving across the area. Watch for any snow squall warnings issued. You don't want to be caught driving in one of those. And yes, unfortunately, in the wake of it, the roads are going to be quite hazardous, but at least you'll have visibility. If you try to drive in one of those, not only do you have those road conditions turning hazardous, but also you can't see. We can have near whiteout conditions. Visibility can be down to a quarter mile or less within some of that heavier snow that we can see later tonight. And yes, I'll be sure to keep you updated, not only from 10 to 11 between Fox and NBC, but also, of course, on my Nathan Shutt News 9 Facebook page, as well as there on X at @NShuttWTOV. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful, safe, happy New Year.